Have you ever met someone who radiated wisdom, not through their words, but through their silence? Have you ever wondered why the most awakened individuals often speak the least? What if the key to inner power, peace, and deep insight lies not in saying more, but in saying less? Welcome back, fellow seekers of truth. Today, we venture into a mysterious but transformative territory, the practice of silence. Not just physical silence, but inner stillness. The kind of quiet that doesn't just calm the mind, but opens the gate to enlightenment. Why do the truly wise become increasingly silent? Why do great sages, monks, and realized beings retreat from the news of the world? Is silence simply a spiritual tradition, or is it the most profound language of the awakened? Let's begin with this sacred truth. When the mind is quiet, the soul begins to speak. True wisdom doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't seek applause. It doesn't rush to correct others. It simply is. And in that being, silence becomes not emptiness, but fullness. Let's go deeper. In the early teachings of the Buddha, global silence is held in the highest regard. The Buddha himself often responded to deep philosophical questions, and not with long explanations, but with silence. Because some truths cannot be transmitted through language. They must be experienced. Let me share a story. A young man once approached a Zen master and asked, "What is the ultimate truth?" The master sat still, smiled gently, and said nothing. The young man grew angry. "Why won't you answer me?" The master looked into his eyes and whispered, "Because you are not listening for silence, you're listening for ness." The young man froze. In that moment, he realized his entire spiritual quest had been a search for answers and not understanding. True realization doesn't come when we find the right words. It comes when words no longer distract us from what is already here. You might ask, but isn't silence avoidance? Aren't we supposed to speak truth, spread wisdom, help others? Yes, but there's a difference between speech with purpose and speech from compulsion. Most people don't speak to communicate, they speak to avoid. Avoid discomfort. Avoid stillness. Avoid facing what's inside. You talk out of nervousness, out of habit, out of ego. But silence forces confrontations with self. And that's why it's so powerful. Let's now explore 5 transformative benefits of practicing noble silence in daily life. 1. Silence sharpens perception. When you stop talking, your senses awaken. You hear more, you see more, you feel more. Most people miss life because their mind is occupied with what they say next. But when you pause, life enters. You begin to notice the rustle of trees, the subtle emotions in others, the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Silence is not passive, it's perceptive. 2. Silence calms mental chaos. Thoughts are like waves. Speech is the wine that stirs them. When you stop speaking, the waters settle, clarity rises. You begin to see your fears, your attachments, your assumptions, and not as facts, but as patterns. This is why silent retreats are so powerful. In silence, your mind becomes a mirror. 3. Silence reveals the truth of others. When you stop interrupting, advising, or reacting, you begin to hear people. Not just their words, but their pain, their longing, their deeper questions. You become a better listener, better friend, better presence. Silence is the space where others can unfold. 4. Silence preserves energy. Words are powerful, but they also drain. Every conversation requires energy. Every opinion shared adds karmic weight. Every argument leaves residue. The wise don't stay silent out of fear, but out of conservation. They speak when the words are needed, not just when they feel like talking. 5. Silence deepens spiritual insight. This is the heart of it. When the chatter fades, your true self emerges. You stop playing roles. You stop seeking approval. You stop performing. In silence, the ego has nothing to cling to. It dissolves. That's when you meet the real you, the one beyond name, status, or story. How do we practice noble silence in a noisy world? Here are a few simple but powerful methods. Begin your day in silence. No talking, just 10 minutes of presence. Let your soul wake up before your mouth does. Eat one meal silently each day. Focus on the taste, the gratitude, the nourishment. Make it a meditation. Schedule silent walks, or music, or podcasts, just your steps and the world around you. Before speaking, ask, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If not, maybe silence is the better gift. Create a no-speech zone in your home, a corner, a chair, or room where silence reigns. Let me tell you the story of Arjun, a successful lawyer who felt spiritually empty. Despite wealth and recognition, something inside him was restless. He talked constantly in debates, meetings, social events. One day, after a burnout, he visited a monastery. The monks spoke very little. First, it irritated him. But after a few days, something shifted. He began to notice how often he spoke without meaning. Often he avoided silence with distraction. He stayed for 2 weeks. When he returned home, his friends said he had changed. He was calmer, more focused, more present. He had learned that silence wasn't absence, it was alignment. Years later, he left law, became a meditation teacher, and helped others reconnect with inner stillness. What changed his life? Not a sermon, not a ritual, but silence. And perhaps it can change yours too. Let's address a common fear. If I'm silent, won't I be ignored, invisible, weak? In fact, your silence makes your words more powerful. When you speak less, people listen more. When you speak rarely, your words carry weight. When you speak from depth, you heal. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. Let me leave you with this reflection. In a world of constant noise, the silent soul becomes a lighthouse. Not because it yells, but because it shines. Thank you so much for watching this video. Invite you to explore silence today, just for a few minutes. See what emerges, feel the stillness, and discover the voice beyond words. If this message resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. When have you experienced the power of silence? How has it changed you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a moment of quiet today. Until next time, speak less, listen deeply, and let your stillness become your strength.